So the session is live, so we are starting the session.
Yes.
Good afternoon, one and all. I am Dr. Pooja Verma, working as an assistant professor in Education Department at KR Mangalam University. I welcome you all to the second session of 1 week FDP on new reform in higher education with reference to NEP 2020. This workshop is being organized by KR Mangalam University, IQAC, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, and School of Education in collaboration with Council for Teacher Education Foundation, Delhi NCR chapter from 27 July to 2nd August 2020. As beautifully quoted by Rabindranath Tagore, a teacher can never truly teach unless he is still learning himself. A lamp can never light another lamp unless it continues to burn its own flame. The teacher who has come to the end of his subject, who has no living traffic with the knowledge but merely repeating his lesson to his students, can only load their mind. He cannot quicken them. I really hope that you would agree the essence of this quotation by Tagore is wonderfully reflected in the recent National Education Policy, NEP 2020. The policy stresses on empowering the teachers by upgrading their knowledge, their skill regularly, and for that, reiterate the need of continuous professional development and capacity building of teachers to enhance the quality of education. So today we are having Dr. Khushvinder Kumar to enlighten us on professional development and capacity building of teachers with reference to NEP 2020. We welcome you, sir. So, Dr. Kumar is currently working as principal at Multani Modi College in Patiala. He also worked as principal of BCM College of Education, Ludhiana, for 11 years. He contributed significantly to the academic and infrastructure development of these colleges. Some of the key responsibilities held by him were assessor member of NAC Bangalore, member of NCT peer teams, President of Council of Teacher Education, Punjab and Chandigarh. Besides that, Sir has guided 9 PhD theses, 38 MA dissertations at Punjab University, Chandigarh. He is research expert in teaching pedagogy, spatial education, policy analysis. He has presented papers in various national and international conferences, and he had delivered as much as 180 expert lectures. He has published 8 books and many papers in reputed national and international journals. He has translated 3 textbooks published by Punjab School Education Board. And he received Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan Award in 2007, conferred by Malabai Lok Saat and Government College, Karamsar, Ludhiana. Once again, Dr. Khushvinder Kumar, we welcome you to the session, and we are eagerly waiting to learn more about professional development, capacity building of teachers with reference to NEP 2020. So with your due permission, can we start the session, sir?
Thank you very much, Dr. Pooja. I'm really indebted for giving me this opportunity to interact with the learned faculty from across the country. I'm really indebted to KR Mangalam University and Professor Tania Gupta for arranging such a wonderful faculty development program, which is much required in these days in the light of NEP 2020. Am I allowed to share the screen? Not yet. Kindly ask the technical person to allow me to share the screen. So in a nutshell, I'm really indebted to CTEF NCR also, Dr. Sanjay, Dr. Pooja, who used very say high words for my introduction, though the best introduction of a teacher and a speaker is his words. I'll try my best to come true to the portrait, verbal portrait sketched by Dr. Pooja Verma. I'm really indebted to Dr. Rajni Gautam, the faculty over there, and Dr. Deepika, well-learned faculty members who have joined us for today's session. I'm trying to share my screen. If it is visible, kindly let me know, Dr. Pooja. Is it visible?
Sir, as of now, we can see your screen, sir.
Right.
But I think the presentation is not yet visible.
Now is it visible?
Yes, sir. If you can kindly take it on full screen.
Right. So now I think full screen is visible.
Yes.
Right. Dear colleagues, I wish to pay my regard and indebtedness to Dr. Pooja, particularly for the quotation of Gurudev Ravindranath Tagore, I think, which was the right lines for opening of the need of continuous professional development. Though we all know what is the importance of continuous professional development, because it was rightly emphasized, our stalwarts like Ravindranath Tagore and so many other educationists, thinkers, philosophers in their own words. Then why again we are talking of this professional development and capacity building of teachers? What basically is the need? Why we are talking it again? There might be so many teachers from the departments of, say, biotechnology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, education. So they are in this process. They are crossing the bars of their career advancement scheme, and they are trying to say update their information and knowledge. They are trying to contribute through research in their fields, through the publication in their fields. All it is happening already in the higher education scenario of India for last so many years. Then why? Once again, we are talking of it. So I simply wish to put this thesis that perhaps the teachers are already on their toes for their professional development. So what is the specific need specified to relevant to the present times which forced us to do so? I'll be dividing in three parts. Firstly, what mandates forced us to do? Secondly, which areas are going to take up the prime importance, which as a teacher we need to be in touch with? And thirdly, I'll try to share a case study at the end. And if time permit, then at the end, I'll try to share a shared platform also if our time and technology supported us. United Nations SDG 2030 program has already been in process, in practice. Particularly the last goal of Sustainable Development Goal Program, SDG 14, it read like this. It includes target for capacity building, including the increased technology and innovation in latest development. The countries and to improve data collection and monitoring, I emphasize, improving data collection and monitoring and achievement of the SDGC for achievement of the SDG themselves. So obviously universities can play a very significant role in particularly this area of data collection, data analysis, interpreting the data, and identifying the future trends. Dear friends, we had already in the era of big data and data analytics. I hope I'm clear. So whenever you right now when I'm talking, my mobile phone, my smartphone is having a vigilance on me. He is listening to me. By the time I'll be off from this session, there might be so many recommendations on my cell phone. So the big data is already there. Now our role is how this big data we can tame, we can develop, and we can chalk out the plans for exactly human development. When I say human development, not as a consumer, rather as a humane entity. It is the biggest challenge for academicians, because whole of the corporate world will be using for their set objective, and their subject set objective obviously is promotion and increase of their productivity. But in our case, the Department of Basic and Social Sciences, our objective is to provide a sensible, developed citizen to the society. So how for that purpose, we need to reassess the areas and identify the areas in which teachers have to develop their capacities. It is the real challenge, which has already diagnosed by UNO also in its SDG program. Our National E-Governance Division orates like this. It is before you. I'll not be reading whatever has been written before you. But the crux is this, that they have redefined, reset the objectives as holistic development of an individual, that visualizing, conceiving, and delivering the project is the objective in these days. I repeat, our teaching should be such of a nature that individuals should be capable of visualizing through various resources, conceiving and internalizing it, and then should be able to deliver to the assigned project through its own information as well as wisdom. And the e-governance division has fixed these capabilities, these objectives for all at all levels of governance, including the education and higher education. But we are not concerned only with education. Rather, my emphasis is what type of individual is expected by our government in the future times. The young, which we'll be certifying with certain degree, an additional skill has been orated, which he should have with her or him to be a productive citizen of the society. Now, when I talked about SDG 17, lifelong learning and promotion of education for all, it says so. Now, SDGs are also publishing the position papers. The annual position paper, recent paper, says these 4 areas, means the pandemic deepened global learning crisis. Now, what we have to do means the problem before us is this. They have changed in last 3 years, means the global learning crisis, which was already there, has deepened with pandemic. How it has deepened? 147 million children missed about half of in-person interactions in just 2021. So how we can bridge that gap in their learning, which they missed due to in-person interaction? No denying the fact that many of the institutions try to provide them learning through alternate modes, through online, etc. But I think the whole was not transformed immediately to that. There were certain gaps. So how we can bridge that? Thirdly, 24 million primary and university level learners may never return to the institutions. It is the biggest challenge for us, because at global level, we are just struggling for say 100% education at the school level. But again, this crisis has been added that about such a huge amount is not expected to rejoin the institutions due to the off-fall of the pandemic. It might be the economic, it might be physical, it might be the deaths caused in the family, it might be the loss in earning, blah, blah, blah. There are so many. Right now, it is not our issue to have a elaborative discussion on all those reasons. But what is the impact or what is the challenge before us? That is very huge. And the inequalities, entrenched inequalities in education have only worsened during this. We are known as a diverse country where access to education, though we claim that it is more than 75%, but I think the quality education, access to quality education is still a challenge. There are wide diversities and they have widened after this pandemic. Now, how we can bridge? We have to develop our capacities. We have to develop ourselves professionally to address all these issues. These issues has also been identified by NEP 2020. When I talk for higher education, for overall education, NEP aims for plural society, equitable access of quality education, not only access, rather equitable access of quality education. And thirdly, they have fixed the aim of bridging the gap in learning outcome attained and the target fixed for learning outcome. It means still we have to work on that, though we have achieved a lot over last 70 years, but still we have a long way to go to bridge, to cover these goals. NEP also fixed as aim the fixed 50% GER in higher education and serving the socio-economic disadvantaged groups. I would like to take 1 minute. They have added now the economic disadvantaged groups. If I refer to NEP 1986, the NEP 1986 was talking of only the disadvantaged, the socially disadvantaged groups, not the economic. No, they have included that also. And they have mentioned a number of schemes also. I'm not going into detail, but as a teacher, I need to be aware. I need to be aware of the schemes available for SCDGs and how they can be tamed. Now, it is my moral responsibility as a teacher so that I should be well versed with the portal, with the system, with the dates, with the cutoff dates, and the modalities and the processes for registering on those portals for SCDGs. And lastly, the lifelong learning. In the present times, as Confucius says, one cannot put his second feet in the same water of a running stream. We exactly are in the era when by the end I will be completing my, say, this deliberation. So many new things might be added in the meantime by UGC or by our governing bodies in Indian context. And if I refer to the global context, then so many others might also be added to it. NEP at its class 13.4 speaks like this, that which are the areas exactly which have been set free for the teachers. When I say set free, it means more free for the teachers, and their role and their involvement is more highlighted. They have given more flexibility and opportunities for, in developing the curriculum framework, preparing the text materials or the reading materials or the e-contents, and developing assessment tools and techniques. If I have to reflect from my observation, we still are in the era where we depend mostly, most of the universities, I'm not saying all, most of the universities are still depending upon some term ending written examination. It might be annual, it might be semester, or it might be trimester, but we still are far away from the prompt, continuous, specific, pinpointed evaluation for our learners. I repeat, when I say the continuous pinpointed evaluation, it means this type of assessment and evaluation is not only for grading, is not only for certification, is not only for assigning the marks, rather in identifying and diagnosing the learning difficulties and the level or the gap between achievement and the target. which I already have been mentioned in NEP 2020. So we have to innovate. We have to experiment with our assessment and evaluation. Now coming to what to do. It was the mandates by our bodies. Our bodies demand so. They highlighted that we have to sharpen our tools. So by now, I think I have established this thing. I tried my best to put my thesis that all the teachers need to sharpen their toolkits to deliver more effectively and efficiently for the learners and for contributing towards a knowledgeable learned society. So as a scope, I am going to discuss the three portions. First was new regulations, which I have already discussed. I have broadly taken just an idea, though I don't claim that all of the regulations have already been discussed. No, not at all. I take just three. What has been taken at e-governance level, what has been the objectives fixed by NEP 2020, and thirdly, with which I started, that was what are the global targets fixed by United Nations. Though it was fixed long back, the SDGs, but there are reference of IT and the learning, continuous learning. Second is the pedagogies. It is the area I started my career as a lecturer in education. But whenever I was introducing somebody that which is your faculty, which is your subject, I say education. I usually get a reply, okay, that is okay. But what you teach, I really get perplexed that how I should reflect upon it. I used to refer my pedagogical subject that I teach mathematics, though it was not exactly true, but I think whether the person whom I'm interacting is well versed with our education system. I simply mean to say, even till today, majority of our masses are not aware that as per physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, economics, history, geography, education is also a well-established stream. With which it is dealing with how to teach, the methodology of teaching, the pedagogies, and when our academic staff colleges, in these days called HRDCs, they started talking of pedagogies after a survey conducted under UGC, which revealed that in 2 decades, our academic staff colleges performed dismally as they couldn't deliver the exact learning outcomes. Then they decided, UGC fixed that there might be some pedagogical concerns to be taken in that. However, the orientation program of 28 days was envisioned just to acquaint the teachers with pedagogies. If I have to talk about the school sector, we have a well-established programs, programs, UG or PG programs. But in case of the higher education teacher, we was not having any, say, fixed pre-service program. But the orientation program was fixed in that. Though even after a time it was identified that they are not delivering as per expectation. And third, I'll be reflecting upon the domain knowledge, very little, just a little bit, just a touch, because you all are more acquainted to your domain knowledge than me. I very humbly accept it, that I might not be a right person to reflect in economics, what are the recent advances, or in physics, or etc. etc. So by now, we just say, I try to establish this, that capacity building broadly can be divided into 4 areas. First is knowledge sharing through any like talk shows, extension lectures, or various modes, brainstorming maybe, or maybe a panel discussion. And then after identifying the area, we need training on that area, whichever area we identify. Thirdly, we need support from a sports system, from an expert, from from the social setup which is having already implemented that and has having mastery upon that. And lastly, we are in global competition. Open up ourselves for the competition in that particular area. I can see only this as the way of capacity building. Firstly, knowledge sharing and identifying the areas where I need to equip myself more, arranging the training for that, getting the support system, including the mentoring in that area, and lastly, opening up myself to the competition. Just an example, just when in 2020, the lockdown was imposed, suddenly we all have to be in this competition to equip ourselves for online teaching. I hope I sound it right. And majority of us, I say majority, though there were some persons who are well versed with these technologies, but majority of us in higher education picked up it as a challenge and equipped ourselves for this. Now, which are the areas which NEP are going to transform? I'll be taking 4 or 5 examples because exhaustive covering of this is not possible. As I already told, by the time we'll be concluding this discussion, UGC might have issued 1 or 2 circulars more, because as an average, 3 to 4 circulars every week are coming from UGC. And it is not uncalled for. When any nation is giving a new education policy, which is to be implemented, executed in a decade, and in second decade, its impact is to be assessed, as our chief guest yesterday was emphasizing. So now we are in that decade when in 2020 to 2030, there might be numerous changes in higher education. I might be having of the mindset when I joined higher education that the higher education is this, but sorry, it is not the same today. And it will not be same next year also. So how it is going to change? I'm giving just recent 4 or 5 circulars only, or the guidelines issued by UGC, in which we are directly concerned, which the teacher need to be well versed. Our higher education institute and obviously the teachers. Why I say teachers? If our HEI identify that we are going to implement it, obviously it will be implemented through a team of the teachers. For example, on 13th April, these guidelines that how 2 academic programs can be pursued simultaneously, it has been issued. Prior to this, it exists, but the mandate was this, that a student can simultaneously pursue 2 courses. One should be major and another one should be minor. And there was a list of major and minor, and major should be in the regular mode, whereas minor should be in the distance mode. But now it is altogether changed. A student can pursue any 2 programs of its choice with a single rider, that its program times should not overlap or clash. So when you will be going through its details, you will be revealed. Now, as a teacher, if I am in the team of the admission counselors or admission process, I need to be aware of it. And even as a teacher, I hope you all might have experienced this. Whenever we are going to any social gathering, any say known parent will come to you that he or she is my daughter or son, he wishes to pursue career in so and so, can you please guide? Means one role is obviously expected from a teacher, that by default teacher is a counselor also, is a guide also. So we need to be that. Second notification was issued on 2nd May, and it was about the collaboration between Indian and a foreign institute for providing various modes of the programs, a twinning program and a dual degree program. So this type of programs, how an institute can tie up with a foreign higher education institute, and what is the mandate by our university, by our regulatory body, sorry, UGC, by our regulatory body, which is going to change as per NEP 2020. For the time it is UGC, but it is going to become higher education regulatory council. So meantime it is UGC. But very interestingly, I have noticed, and I'm mentioning it without the name of the university, there are a number of such universities who were providing the twinning programs with foreign universities for last 5, 6, or 7 years. In the wake of any mandate or regulation by our regulatory authorities. So means they are taking the benefit of this policy parallax or the gap between the policy, because the regulations were silent upon it. They were providing it. But so touchwood, fortunately, they had not created a problem. But any nation can create problem that show the mandate of your Indian regulatory body, that at that time you were authorized, you were allowed to do the twinning or the dual degree with the foreign collaboration. They have never demanded. Why? Because they already have switched to the skilled persons, owning the skilled persons. And when the twinning program was with their university, they just simply say whether the individual had contributed its learning time and accrued a degree from their university, then it's okay. But even today, I think it is challenging. I think it is challenging, but not after this second wave, because after second wave, now it is as per the regulatory norms that we can have a collaboration with the foreign institute to provide the twinning programs. Let me be more clear. Suppose what twinning program means. Suppose our institutes wish to provide 2-year or a 4-year degree. So in case of a 4-year degree, now the MOU with that institute may be that 2 years will be in Indian institute and another 2 years will be in the foreign institute, or the 3 in the say Indian institute and then 1 in the foreign institute. Or it may be that it will be simultaneously with the 2 institutions in a blended mode. The areas and the topics covered by the Indian say institute will be in the offline mode, whereas by the faculty over there will be in online mode, etc., etc. So the detailed guidelines are also available on the site for these programs. So we need to be well acquainted. Why, as teachers, I'm becoming later, why we need to be acquainted. Then the third, which I think is most appropriate for us to learn, these are the guidelines for transforming the HEIs, higher education institutions, to multidisciplinary institutions. I'll take just 1 minute. What is HEI as per NEP 2020? NEP 2020 uses this term higher education institutions for all affiliated colleges, affiliating universities, non-affiliating campus universities, standalone institutions. Standalone means the single faculty institutions like education colleges, management colleges, nursing colleges, etc., etc., etc. So the policy very clearly say that after 2030, only the multidisciplinary institutes will be there. And they have fixed the target that by 2030, all HEIs have to upgrade themselves to multidisciplinary institutes. What is multidisciplinary institute? An institute or a university or an autonomous college which is providing all streams in all areas and all type of degrees. And a constraint, a condition is this, that any such institution will be having a department of education also. So such importance has been given to pedagogies, that every higher education institute have to have an education department, and its roles have been fixed, that they will be working, education department will be working in collaboration with all other departments for conducting the cutting edge research. And every teacher, whosoever is registering for any a PhD in any of the faculties, will have to have a 6-month project work in actual teaching situation to qualify for the PhD degree. So these are some of the things which we need to be clear about, are those education institutes which will be in existence by next decade or by the end of this decade. So whether if we wish to survive only through this board, that HEIs, standalone institutes, will not be in existence or in practice after 2030. Only those institutes that will be upgrading themselves will be able to equip themselves as per the norms of multidisciplinary institutions. Only those will be in practice. Another major big paradigm shift is that the NEP says that the 3-year degree courses will be replaced by the 4-year degree courses, UG programs, the 4-year UG programs. And for these 4-year UG programs, many of the universities have already taken steps to start their 4-year UG programs or the 5-year integrated programs, but many are still waiting. And higher education, Department of Higher Education has already drafted guidelines for the National Curriculum Framework for Higher Education. And it includes the 4-year undergraduate program also. Though this program, the framework of credit system for 4-year undergraduate program draft is available on UGC site, and I'm expecting that the National Curriculum Framework for Higher Education will be in public domain in next few days, because our National Secretary General of CTEF, Professor Nirima Bhagwati, is the member in that committee. So CTEF in touch with that. And we very shortly are going to arrange say webinars, conferences on the National Curriculum Framework for Higher Education in the coming days. So as a teacher, we need to be well acquainted with these also. Just a minute, I'm checking the mailbox if there is any query or question. Audio is not clear. I hope by now the audio is clear, Dr. Pooja?
Yes, sir. It is clear.
Right.
I think
Right.
he must be having some network issue.
Right. It is already in practice from this session, CUET, and it is in practice for all the central universities. And the government expect to pick up this CUET for the state universities also by next year. And for all the institutions in coming few years across the country. It is not a matter of debate. I might be having some reservations of any of these circulars. It is another issue. It is another issue. But once it is a regulation, then as a teacher, we should know at 2 levels. What is the regulation? How it is going to change? Secondly, what is my critical opinion on it? And what I anticipate can be the off-fall of this. Being a teacher of education, particularly, I have the second role most importantly. But today, I'm not discussing, debating on that role. The policies which are there, I might be having my own critical analysis that it can have this type of positive impacts, this type of negative impacts of this policy. Obviously that can be. But right now, today, I just wish to sensitize our faculty, our colleagues, our friends, that which things are there on which we need to be well informed, and we have to develop ourselves with the information and knowledge in these areas. It is end of the second part. These are certain links. And you simply go to the UGC site, visit the circulars and notifications, and I hope at least twice a week, every teacher need to go through these circulars and notifications that what type of changes have been envisioned and enforced by UGC upon us. Now, for example, the multidisciplinary institution guidelines I have already discussed. These are available on the site. Induction and mentorship program for teachers. It's really a very wonderful program of mentorship, mentoring by a senior, as I already told in say training in capacity building, that for training I need to muster support from a mentor or from an expert. Now the portal has already started registering the mentors, and you can be a mentor in any of the areas. If you come up to their expectation, you can register over there. Then there are the guidelines for development of R&D cell, which is to be developed by each and every institution as per the given guidelines. And obviously, which I have discussed, the National Higher Education Curriculum Framework. I again mention, it is not exhaustive. It is just an example. I have taken certain links which I have shared with you. But what I wish to emphasize, that every teacher need to visit the UGC site, particularly the window of circulars and regulations, at least twice a week. In my last part, before that, I'm again, just once I'm checking, is there any? No, there is no query. Dear participants, I wish if there is any query, you can continue along with, or at present we will be taking 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'll be discussing a case study. Professor Tania, is it okay if I take just, because the basic conceptual part is over, I'll be discussing a case study that if we are aware of our professional development and we identify the right area at right time and start at right time, then what the impact can be. I'll be sharing in this case study. So before that, if there is any query, if you wish to contribute to what I have discussed by now, you are most welcome.
So as of now, we do not see really any questions in the chat box.
Right. I have already checked the chat box. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, participants, please feel free to contribute your questions in the chat box or raise hand. Raise hands will be taken after this. I'll be discussing this in 10 to 15 minutes. Then we will be opening up after 20-25 minutes for a discussion. This case study is institutional responsiveness to innovation during COVID-19 period. And it is a case study. There are so many case studies. I have picked this particular case study, and it is of my own college, not to boost my college. Rather, we have the empirical data based on it. When I say empirical data, because that was the time when life seems to be seized. I hope I sound logical. In March 2020, life seems to be seized. And learning comes later than life. We were immediately in panic of survival. And our efforts for that survival again attached us to learning. What type of learning? How to protect yourself? How to sanitize yourself? How to sanitize the materials you have to use? How to sanitize or disinfect the eatables which we are purchasing? How and from where to purchase those daily necessity items without which we can't divide off? Rather, I think it was really an learning experience for me, because the area where I'm living, it has a huge park, a very huge park adjoining it. And in those 2 to 3 months, when there was no movement, human movement, including the machine movement, on the streets and roads, 2-3 things were very visibly evident. I personally witnessed peacocks moving on our street, and they were not afraid when we pass across them. Means the nature had suddenly equated all the creatures, because no human being was thinking to hurt of any animals even in that days. There were the wonderful pictures which have been circulated on social media, that in the city beautiful of Chandigarh, there were herds of the deers moving on the roads on UT Chandigarh, if you can recollect those. And thirdly, by evening or by morning, we can notice the sky was more blue and much more clear than we have ever seen. And if you are the star watchers, I can recollect that I wish to see such stars in my childhood only, when all the constellations were visible and our elders were guiding us to, this is the so constellation, this is the so, it was again visible in those days. So when I say, I simply wish to put this, that perhaps the human priorities were changed when the sudden lockdown was imposed. And learning came as a default, because the prime focus was to learn to survive, learn to continue the life, but again learn. So learning can never be devoid of the life. I learned this one thing. And another thing, what we witnessed, that is a really wonderful, say, study. Firstly, I'll giving the timeline of this time period and in context to this particular study, what and how it happened. Yes, I'm referring to the state of Punjab. Though some of the dates are at national level, it was 14th March 2020. I hope it was Saturday. 14th March 2020, that the public transport was closed in the state of Punjab due to COVID-19. And by 22nd March, the lockdown was imposed nationwide. Am I right? On 22nd March, lockdown was imposed nationwide, 22nd March. So what was our priority? Why I'm referring it as a case study? When on 14th March, the public transport was closed, on that very day, we have to start our terminal examinations, our MSTs, mid-semester examinations, which we suddenly have to postpone. But on the same date, we had a meeting and we decided to start with what is expected from us in this time. If this, public transport, discontinuation of public transport continued, then what we will do? We conducted a survey on 14th itself on the acquaintance of our teachers to online teaching. I'll be sharing this. Then by 15th to 20th, 5 days faculty development program was arranged specifically on online teaching for the teachers. And on 22nd, the lockdown was imposed means fortunately by that day, our faculty was trained and acquainted to online teaching. This date is to be noted particularly. 22nd March, lockdown is imposed, and on 23rd March, the college started online teaching for all of its students. And if I'm correct, UGC gave these guidelines and directions in the first week of April. In first week of April. By that time, we had already spent 10 days on online teaching with our students. Then after completion of 1 month of online teaching, it was a huge hue and cry at that time that it is all vague. It cannot be the substitute for the regular teaching or for the face-to-face teaching. All the things are accepted. But what was the available alternate at that time? First question or first issue which was to be addressed was this, that what to do or how to reach our students. It was the first which question has been addressed. The second question comes, the second, that what exactly is the learning experience and outcome out of this suddenly changed alternate mode. And we conducted a survey on 2,200 students about their online learning experience after 1 month of practicing this in the month of April. Then it is about the infrastructure. Though we take time to develop infrastructure, I'll be sharing then how we suddenly started without the infrastructure. But if you have willpower, you can start. And then again, when by January, the UGC say that we can opt for on/offline mode for our students. Then again, we conducted a survey on the willingness of students to join offline classes. By that time, our teachers were of the opinion that perhaps students have picked up the easiest mode as per their comfort zone, that perhaps they won't be willing to come again in the offline mode. So it is a case study. Now coming to the 3 surveys, which I have already mentioned. The first is the pre-survey on teachers, which was conducted on 14th March, means a week prior to imposition of the lockdown in Modi College. I would like to mention over here that the sample of these teachers is of 125 teachers in our college, the faculty of 125. Obviously, it is a statistical, empirical data. It doesn't mean everyone that I'm going to produce that statistics only. On that very day, our teachers, about 60% teachers accepted that they are somewhat acquainted with online teaching. How it came suddenly possible? They were already acquainted with online teaching. Once again, thanks to the capacity building and the faculty development programs, we are conducting at least 2 one-week faculty development programs annually for last 5 to 6 years prior to 2019. Means since 2015, we were conducting 1 or 2 one-week faculty development programs. And every faculty development programs in the previous years, they were of general nature. Slowly, they were having a particular focus area also. And many persons from technology field or say management field or some other fields, they share such experiences, and our faculty was exposed, at least exposed, very consciously I'm using this word, to the online teaching learning, and the faculty accepted it. Though they also accepted that they are facing the problems in online teaching. Though at the first survey, about 56% teachers were of the opinion that they are not facing any problem in online teaching. But in next 2 to 3 days, they were of the opinion that perhaps they were not expecting or anticipating such rigors in the online. But it paid us that 56% teachers were confident enough that they are ready to jump in this bandwagon. They are ready to switch over to online and they will not be facing any problem. Means we had already a mentor-mentee system within the campus. The teachers who were so confident, they became mentors for the other. And it actually happened. I'll share one or two exemplary anecdotes also. So, just a minute. Yes, on being asked that which mode the teachers prefer, the mode by that time was only the PDF, sharing of the notes in PDF format. But some teachers were using the recorded, pre-recorded audio video lectures also. Once again, in about 2018, 17 and 18, we motivated our teachers to start recording their lectures and sharing with students, though the response was lukewarm by that time. But suddenly in 2020, when they were in demand, then many of the teachers switched over to recording their audio video lectures. We established a very small recording studio also. But when we have to need to record in mass and to share on social medias, then our costly equipment was not as efficient as a simple smartphone proved to be at that time. So the smartphones which were having with the teachers recorded video lectures recorded, and those were of having, say, small file size and can be shared very easily. So means our teachers were using mostly two modes, and slowly they switch over to the other modes also with the coming days. Then the next question was learning assessment tools used by the teachers. Because when we switch over to online teaching, I think the pen and paper assignments was, say, conducting the examination was not so feasible. So at first instance, what they used the assignments to be submitted online. And very interestingly, without much effort, many of the teachers started the online quiz also, the Google quiz, like the Google quiz one. They started framing that. And then when I was referring that the mentor-mentee system started within the campus, it is one of those examples. Some of the teachers practiced the Google quiz at that time, and then we started this practice that they will be taking a session of the whole faculty, how to prepare and use the Google quiz, how to prepare and use the Google form for survey, etc. So a mentor-mentee system as envisioned now in NEP 2020, that started within the campus of this survey study. And then after this previous survey, the 5-day faculty program was designed for, and the resource persons were arranged for the teachers. And the resource persons we are having, obviously we have a good network, every institute having. Fortunately, we are having the university within our same city. And we are having the Thapar Technical Institute. We are having the Indian Institute of Science Education and Research in Chandigarh. We have Indian Institute of Technical Teacher Training and Research, so many others. So we arranged the faculty and online lectures of the faculty members. I'm really indebted to all those resource persons. This 5-day faculty program was conducted, and after that we switched over, as already mentioned, on 23rd of March on online teaching. How we suddenly switch over without the basic infrastructure, When I say without the basic infrastructure, means by that time, neither the whole campus was Wi-Fi equipped, nor we were having a lease line, internet lease line with us. We were having just scattered or standalone net connections only, but even they were redundant and useless because teacher was sitting at his or her home, student was sitting at his or her home. So any net connection available at the campus was not of no use. And then they were not having any recording studio at home, or they were not having an online classroom infrastructure set up within their home. But even then, they started. How they started? They started simply by using their data pack or the Wi-Fi connection at their home to deliver online lecture of short period of about 15 minutes through their smartphones. Why smart? Because the interaction was reduced in that time. It was not possible to interact because when 40 to 50 students were connecting through Zoom or other platform, it was not feasible to have interaction. And neither the student nor the teachers were efficient and tuned enough to allow one-by-one interaction. So we designed and we fixed a timetable. We rescheduled the timetable into 15-minute slots. And in those 10 to 15 minutes, teachers simply deliver the lecture and students receive the lecture. Another reason, at that time, we were using the free Zoom version, which allow a 40 minutes login for an individual. So a teacher was able to very comfortably deliver 15-minute lecture or 2 lectures if they are simultaneously in a slot of 40 minutes. Then you have to log out and again log on for the next session. Similarly, particularly for the students, if as a teacher I have to take 2 or 3 or 4 lectures, it was convenient. But for a student, if they have to take up 4 sessions continuously, neither his or her data pack support, nor the Zoom platform, nor the handset, it heated up. So we had a morning sessions, afternoon sessions, and evening sessions. The timetable was redesigned and rescheduled so that each and every student may be given this opportunity to join on that. No denying the fact, there were the areas where internet access was not there. There were the students who are not having smartphones in their family, or even if single smartphone in the family, it was not in the access of the learner. And the cost of data pack was not bearable by almost all. There might be some SCDGs who couldn't afford that. And the quality of net connectivity in the rural and remote areas was not so supportive. But despite that, the solution to the problem of ceased learning was this only, which we tried. And this picture before you is the wonderful innovation done by one of our computer teacher, which was immediately picked by the physics faculty as well as the faculty of mathematics, because they were struggling, they were dying very difficult to make their derivations on blackboard. Because if their say mobile is focusing on some board, if they have arranged or a chart on wall at their home, it was too far away and it was not legible the students. Then a small, one of the teachers improvised this stand. It might be some stand lying at his home. He simply arranged like this and he put the mobile phone as before you and a plain paper in place of book below it, and he used to make those derivations. Now it was so close that this derivation was as clear as the attachment writing pad in these days used. But in that case, the audio was visible. If you can see that the audio catching is facing towards the teacher on this side. So camera was focused downwards, where a plain paper and derivation was done, and the mic was on this side to catch the voice audio of the teacher. This simple improvised equipment made it convenient for science or math faculty. There were so many such examples. I shared just once only, just to make it clear, so that it might sound that it is empirically and it is logically it was true. So I had already accepted net connectivity was poor, sessions were not more than 14 minutes, and the queries etc. were taken and addressed through the mail only, and the single equipment which was used were the mobile phone only, and the data pack or the domestic Wi-Fi connection was used by the teachers as well as the learners in that time. So after 1 month's practicing online teaching, another survey was conducted on 2,200 students about their experience about online teaching. Though afterwards, at national level and even at international level, which I had already referred in our policy document or in UNO SDG program, that such surveys had already been conducted, afterwards were conducted at various levels. But with these 2,200 students, I would like to refer here, which I had already accepted. It was not possible for 100% student, and we never claimed that 100% learners were available with us and we taught them. No, not at all. Our strength was 4,000 plus. And the students who responded to this survey was 2,200. Means maximum about 2,500 students get benefited by this program. And this 2,200 students willingly filled this survey. The first question of the survey was, how you rate the experience of this online teaching learning? And interestingly, about 70% students rated as excellent or good. Means they were also feeling by the time that we need some learning for the time. Second question was, how much time they spent for their learning. It was quite important, quite crucial also, because in many of the cases, the teachers simply record their 10 to 15-minute lecture and they post in their WhatsApp groups. Then it was the choice of the student to spend time on learning. And we the teachers are generally of opinion that students don't pay attention to learning. And particularly when they are in their comfort zone, when they are at their home, usually we say कि वो तो क्लास में नहीं ध्यान देते, तो अब क्या देंगे? So my question was only, are they spending some time to their learning? If so, then how much time they are spending? Interestingly, about more than 70% students accepted that they are spending more than 1 hour. These three zones, more than 1 hour, 1 to 2 or more than, or 2 to 3 or even more than 3. They were spending more than 1 hour. Means the time when learning was ceased, our students were spending more than 1 or average 2 hours to their learning through online learning or online teaching methods. Thirdly, in our university, the semester examinations are usually scheduled for by end of May. So when it suddenly ceased in the month of March, obviously about 25% syllabus was still to be covered. My concern was that how much syllabus was covered or even left after online teaching. And it is visible from these two bands that more than 20% syllabus has been reported to be covered by about 77-8% students. That so much syllabus has been covered. So I was relieved on this account that about 25% syllabus was yet to be covered when lockdown was imposed, and the students reported 70%, more than 70% students reported that so much syllabus, the remaining syllabus, has been covered by the teachers. In the virtual classes, what was the preference of teachers for their virtual classrooms? As I already told, because Zoom was freely available in the 40-minute slot, so majority of the teachers used or prefer Zoom platform. And another reason, during the 5-day FDP, they were given a session, a workshop session on the use of the Zoom platform for their conference sessions. And followed by Zoom, it was free conference call. Though later on, so many other platforms have been used, but by that time, only these two were used. Again, what was the preferred mode of contents given to the teachers? As already mentioned by the teacher, that these were the recorded audio-video lectures or the PDF files. It was authenticated by the students also, that the contents delivered to them was either through the recorded lectures or through the PDF shared. Why the PDF? I again accept and wish to emphasize that we can never normalize, we can never say equalize all the things. Though we can normalize, I'm using the standardized term, a statistical term. We can fix on the normal probability curve. And normal probability curve say that about 66% people fall in the average band, where very few on the extreme best positive and very few on the extreme negative. No denying the fact. Even in a faculty, there were some teachers who took time or who couldn't pick up this online teaching, but they preferred or they learned to prepare the PDF files of their lectures, of their resource material, and started sharing with their students. About the learning outcome, conceptual understanding of the contents of students, because at that time it was also, there was a lot of debate that online learning lacks depth conceptuality, conceptual understanding. It cannot give the in-depth conceptual understanding. But on this account again, 70% students were fully satisfied or say it is excellent or good. They were contented with their conceptual understanding. Teacher satisfaction with conceptual understanding. Obviously, we teachers are sometimes over-expecting and underestimating at the same time. I repeat, we usually as teachers over-expect and underestimate the learner at a time. So our teachers were of the opinion that about 62% teachers were satisfied with the delivery of their lectures. Others were partially satisfied. And I think as per the efficiency tests, it is quite acceptable on efficiency scale that such volume of the teachers and the students were satisfied. Teachers' rating of the experience on online teaching, again, it was excellent or good by about 65% of the teachers. Though they were of the opinion always that it cannot be a substitute for face-to-face teaching. Why? Because the workshops were not possible. The lab works were not possible. Though they try to give the demonstrations, but demonstration and hands-on experience or conducting a practical are two different things. If there are some physics teachers telling the students about the connections of an electronics experiment, it can be demonstrated, but practicing it is more important. And one cannot understand and internalize. Similarly, in case of chemistry, the chemical analysis, demonstrating is something else, whereas conducting the practical themselves is something else. So I am not trying to say that the whole learning, there was no learning loss or gap. There were. I simply try to claim that suddenly ceased learning activities were restarted once again, obviously to some extent. Then the third and the last survey, which was conducted in the month of January 21, when UGC gave a mandate that we can start online as well as offline classes. We again conducted a survey on the students. And this time about 3,586 students responded. Means by that time, majority of the students arranged their smartphones or their net connectivity, etc., etc. Three things are to be noted in this. A general teacher's perception by that time was that perhaps it will be quite difficult to bring back the students from their comfort zone to the classroom teaching and the offline teaching. But response here is quite different. 63% of the students reported their willingness to join the offline classes. Now this 60%, 63% need to be interpreted with two more things. 63% students of the total reported, while only 55% students were local and 45% students commute from outside the station. And again, for commuting from outside, 51% students, 48% students commute on their own vehicles and 51 commute on the public transport. Now just imagine the student who have to commute from outside the city on the public transport, the social inhibition, the parental inhibitions are also, of course, there. Despite that, the 63% students were willing to join offline classes. I'm not claiming that they joined, but they were willing to join the offline classes. Means in a way, what as a teacher we were thinking, even the students found it, that perhaps there were certain learning losses on this online. It cannot be a complete substitute of the offline or the face-to-face teaching. So they were willing to come back to their institutions. So with this, I'll be taking up some of the queries. Then we'll conduct a survey also. To RNCF 2005.
Should I be, so should I be reading the question or?
If I need your help, I had already opened the chat box. Then Madan Baithai wish to ask that how to NCF 2005. I think the participant wished to ask about National Curriculum Framework 2005. It was regarding the school, but the which curriculum framework which I have referred of higher education, that is in preparation right now in the light of NEP 2020. If I have to refer to NCF, National Curriculum Framework, it was for school education 2005. And then it was NCF TE for teacher education in 2010. And in between, again, there was a National Curriculum Framework for school education in 2009 also. All these curriculum frameworks are available on web. If you wish to refer, they are available on NCTE site. I hope I addressed the query. if there is something more to be contributed or to be asked by Madan, then can raise hand or can ask the question. Another question, it is the unregistered participant. How much fund will be provided by the government to establish R&D cell at institute? No fixed amount. It will be established by the standing of your institution, by the institutional development plan or the research development plan prepared by you. Its relevance in the national and global relevance, your standing and contribution already given to the research field, etc., etc., etc. Means if we, as per the previous practice, we wish to opt for a scheme who has a fixed band of 1 crore to 3 crore. No, it is not like that. We have to establish our R&D cell, and its standing towards contribution will be deciding which of our project is going to be accepted. But let me make one more thing clear. The focus of establishing R&D cell is to collaborate with the society and the industry to identify the areas where we can where we can shake hand with the industry and we can contribute in the form of research and knowledge to that industry. And if we are able to do so, that industry will be funding our project. And there is an idea that this type of agreement, this type of arrangement will be through certain national portals where it will be registered that an X institute is collaborating with some industry, and they are having such type of research project which is funded by this, and the institute is contributing to this. Monica wished to ask, can you suggest some measures to fill up the learning gaps caused during pandemic? I hope the case study which I have mentioned over here was an example of that. And the objective of our capacity development programs is to think and to innovate, not just to copy from others. The case study which I have quoted might not be relevant for many of the situations, for many of the areas, for many of the localities. Similarly, how to bridge gap? These type of gaps can be bridged. Can be bridged through numerous examples. But if I have to answer briefly, then there is a paradigm shift of lecture delivery to the participative learning. If you are really referring to the time gap that during about 1 year or so, our learning outcome was quite less as per expected, then how we can compensate that time and learning loss? Obviously, we will have to switch over to the participative learning. I wish to say, when I'm delivering a lecture, more active is one brain, less active or other. But in case of participatory learning, all the brains are storming. All the brains are equally active. And working on the problem solving, on the project delivery is one of the examples upon which or towards which we have to shift. And even NEP 2020 wish us to focus on project delivery and problem solving. K. Sankara Rao, Dr. K. Sankara Rao is just appreciating. Thank you very much. Another anonymous attendee who hasn't registered through the registered name. Could you please elaborate the dual degree course again? It is applicable for all streams. Dual degree, basically, what NEP envisioned as a 4-year undergraduate program, it is a quite close to the programs offered by Canadian and US system, like a major and minor, major subjects and minor subjects. So a dual degree is when we are taking up the two major programs under certain scheme, it might be a dual program. If I have to refer from our existing example, for example, our some student is doing +2 with science stream. We usually use a super science or super medical or super non-medical. Am I right? Dr. Rajni, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Because screen is little changed and right.
The screen sharing.
So in case of yes, so what I was referring, the existing stream which I can take example as a dual. In case of CBSE +2 system, what means super medical or super non-medical? It means when a medical student, a student of physics, chemistry, biology is taking up math as additional, and otherwise a non-medical student of PCM is taking bio as an additional. It is a dual. Means he or she wish to qualify for duals, two streams. Similarly, a dual degree is when we are taking up two. For example, the ITEP program, which is going to replace the BEd program, Integrated Teacher Education Program, it is a dual degree program. And the two majors will be considered for it. One will be the education and pedagogy, and another one will be the subject of your stream. For example, in my case, it is mathematics. In your case, it can be economics. It can be physics. Then simultaneously for 4 years, you will be taking up two major subjects. One is education, another one is mathematics. It is a dual degree, which these days NEP has termed it as ITEP, Integrated Teacher Education Program. Similarly, for example, if in a 4-year UG program, you are taking up mathematics as a major subject, as well as psychology as a major subject, then you are having two majors. It is a dual. It is a dual degree. I hope I have addressed the issue of Dr. Rao. Another, I'm not taking the risk of mispronouncing the name. Sorry, I have all regards for your name. What challenges do teachers face when engaging into academic collaborations? Very wonderful question. Obviously, I have to face the challenge if I have to teach economics along with Amritya Sen. Am I right? So obviously, if I have to teach science along with sorry, he is passed away, the well-acclaimed scientist on his wheelchair, who is no more. I hope you got it. So the competition is global. Even if we are not teaching simultaneously, but the lecture delivered by those stalwarts. On one side, it is a teacher from MIT, Michigan, and another one is teacher from my college. Then both the lectures are available with the student. And obviously, we have a tough competition, and it is a challenge for us. Another question, according to your conducted research, what is the impact of teachers' professional development and students' learning practice, especially COVID? I hope drawing some time, the crisp conclusions is not so meaningful. I might be biased in writing 3 or 4 lines as conclusion of this research, but the 3 surveys are sufficient enough. Another thing, Why I have not orated as per the thesis terminology? Because it was not the say research methodology, strict research methodology. These were just 3 jumbled surveys only. And I try to interpret these 3 surveys in a sequence and try to draw certain conclusions. Even if you are interested to listen to those, there are 3 conclusions in broader sense only. Firstly, in any type of situation, learning can be continued. I have given 2 examples. Firstly, for survival, and even for our survival, I started with it, what we start doing for sanitizing, etc. And if it was a formal learning, then it was the example that we try to do something. And particularly in that time, if you refer to a good example in case of the Punjab schools has been quoted. This same very thing has been replicated in the government schools of Punjab. I'm referring government schools of Punjab. And the survey which rated in the say that test national it is parallel to PISA performance of international students learning. There is a national survey of learning outcome of students, and Punjab was rated best in this survey. And one of the major contributed that Punjab topped, and that was this particular innovation that they try to create. In that case, our Secretary Higher Education took a strong initiative, and he simply emphasized all the teachers to create the WhatsApp groups and gave them some written text or some audio instruction or some audio activity. And very interestingly, what he started in the beginning, that just ask the students to record, like TikTok, any of their activity, their planting activity, their song, their dance, their interaction with the family, whatever they wish. Let them record in 3 to 4 minutes and let them share in the WhatsApp group with the students. How silly was it? Am I right? Wasn't it so silly? No, not at all. Because the objective for our school student was to fight with the fear psychosis of pandemic at that time. And to fight that, one need to be involved in some activity. And once those students started involving by recording their dances, their songs, their home activities, etc., 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 the ball started rolling. And then slowly they started conducting the tests also, delivering the contents also. And the result was the impact which you are asking, that the state of Punjab topped in the survey of that national test. How should a college teacher prepare in order to meet the coming NEP? Multidisciplinary. Sorry, I have no clue. Sorry, I have no clue. But I have already, for last about 1.5 hours, I'm talking that only. That I'm not only a teacher of neither of education nor of mathematics. Rather, I was the teacher of maths and education. But now, it is very much clear that I'm the teacher of technology also. I'm the teacher of policy also. I'm a counselor and guide for the students also. I'm a mentor for my students as well as the parents also. I'm the crisis resolver person in this particular time when many of the students are drifting down to on their mental health index also. So I'm a health expert also. So the multifarious roles which are expected from a teacher, which we speak since the times, are exactly in demand. And the 4-year degrees, they allow that a student of physics major can opt for a music minor also, or a fine arts also. And if I have to quote an example, that what is the use? I'm giving you just one name. You can give the reply in your chat. In which category, or what do you think was the area of Leonardo Vinci? Kindly, immediately reflect in chat box. आप लियोनार्डो विंसी को क्या समझते हो? उसका एरिया क्या था? No, yes, it has started. Somebody is contributing, trying to contribute. I'm repeating my question. What do you think was the contribution and the area of Leonardo da Vinci? Dr. Pooja, I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. And the
Yes, yes. My screen was struck. I haven't get any response. So I will not be reflecting on this question till I get 4 or 5 responses. He was painted okay well. In the meantime, I'm trying to answer 1 or 2 more queries. Sir, as you discuss that a student can join 2 institutions at the same time as a regular student. How would it be possible? Our governing board, our regulatory agencies will be telling. Our universities are the autonomous bodies. They have to decide the mechanism. Their board of studies, academic councils will be deciding this. How teachers can counter the platforms like Byju's by creating another Byju's on your own? Obviously, it is the way. We have to jump into this stream. Only then we will learn how to swim. No other way. No other way. We are not equipped to animation, etc. Obviously, you might not be expert in many areas, but from today's platform, 5 teachers can join hands. One can be very strong in animation. Another can be very strong in mathematics. Third one can be very strong in IT. Fourth one can be very strong in pedagogy. Then all 4 can give a best program of mathematics, which can be delivered to the students, and you can develop your MOOC on mathematics. I have given a clue also. MOOCs cannot be developed by a single teacher. You need 3 or 4 area expertise to develop a MOOC. So whether it is a Byju's or anything else, start from the scratch. You will reach to the sky. I just want to ask, as NEP is implemented, so if no students drop first semester examination and want to join the second semester also, such type of modalities will be finalized by the universities, and the university board of governors and their academic bodies are authorized to do so. NEP is not going to give any dictum on it. It is the autonomy of the university. Sarwal is asking, God forbidden if another disaster happens. I'm tempted to share, because when I was referring to the first week of our faculty development program, at that time, I started joining the platforms to discuss that what we need to do. At least we need to be, I was a resource person on so many platforms in those days. And I got one call to interact on this disaster. Then I go through and I had a study. In 2020, we have such disaster. In 1918, we was having such a disaster. In 1822, we were having such a disaster. In 1723, we were 1718 or sorry 1717, we were having such a disaster. In the second decade of 1600s, we were having such a disaster. For last about 6 centuries, in every 100 years, we are facing such a disaster. This time, say fortunately or unfortunately, we are the population who happened to be on this planet when it occurred, but neither it was new nor it was strange. though it was new as well as strange for all of us, but not for the history of humankind. So we can pray, but if it in case it happens, then what to do? Perhaps we are discussing that only. Dr. Yogita Sarwal from State College, Patiala, teachers. Acha, this query was by Dr. Sarwal. Okay, thank you, Dr. Yogita. She mentioned because she is from my own hometown, from Patiala city. Don't you think that reducing administrative pressure on teachers can give them space to grow professionally? Will the teachers shun their aspiration to opt for the professional and administrative growth? I have a counter question as an answer. How many of you are not aspiring to be the HODs or the deans or the head of institutions? And if you think that it is not possible, or it is possible without the academic growth, then in these days, your contribution will be assessed on the national portals like the Scopus and the UGC care lists about your contribution. In the beginning, Pooja was introducing about 40 of my research papers which I contributed over the last 2 decades, but unfortunately only 2 are available on these portals now, because education was the faculty which was not listed on Scopus in 2000, in 1990 and 2000 up to 2010, nor on UGC care list. So all those papers which I contributed are yet to be listed on those. So these 2 things will be going simultaneously. What is the quality of in-educator versus online professional development programs? It is too early. It's too early to comment upon it. A number of studies will be conducted in the coming about 1 decade. But the paradigm shift is very much clear. The blended mode cannot be reversed now. Online can be reversed, but not fully reversed. It will come back to the blended mode only, not beyond that. How was the feeling of the faculty about job security during? It varies. It varies. It depends upon the institute where you were serving. But as a nation, perhaps we faced the biggest loss of jobs. We witnessed the laborers traveling bare feet, empty stomach, delivering babies on road. It is horrible. Now I will say, मैं ये तो नहीं कहूँगा ये ऐसा दोबारा ऐसा पेंडेमिक ना आए. I wish the human race to be more humane, at least in such situations. At least in such situations. And there are so many examples of the persons whose humanity was touched during such type of activities, and they contributed, they donated, and they served the society in any way. So my answer to the question is only that he was a painter. Leonardo Vinci was the painter, or you, I hope, was referring to Mona Lisa. But as a student of mathematics, I recollect Leonardo Vinci as the person who gave the first drawing sketch of helicopter, who is in practice in these days. He was the man who gave that. As a student of education, I acclaim, accept, and appraise Leonardo Vinci, who is considered as the father of human anatomy, human body anatomy. If you Google it, he used to dug the graves, have measurements of the anatomical structures, and rebury, because by that time, Christianity don't allow to do that. Until date, the medical science refer to the anatomical structures. given by Leonardo Vinci. And if you know, Mona Lisa was sketched twice. And when it was sketched twice, then Leonardo had certain analytical interpretation of the measurements of these bones and this skeleton bones. And he gave a little bit shift to his already sketched Mona Lisa. When I was referring all these, I simply wish to establish what multidisciplinarity means. What multidisciplinarity means. So chat is disabled. Leonardo Vinci was the polymath, was a scientist, was a painter, was an engineer, was a sculptor. I wish all of the participants should be remembered like this, that you are so, you are so, you are so, you are so, not only from a single faculty. Now it is up to Dr. Pooja Verma or Professor Tania. If we can conduct a survey of 5 minutes, online survey of 5 minutes, if you permit me, and if the technology allowed me to do so.
Yes, sir. I think you can, if there is a link, you can post it in the chat box.
No, not in chat box. I wish to exhibit another thing, if it is possible.
Okay, sure, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
For the time, I will be off the screen for 1 to 2 minutes. Sorry, perhaps the window has already been closed. Actually, there is a system known as Mentimeter, and a Mentimeter allows us to connect through your smartphones. And if I ask a question, the responses which you will be giving will automatically be analyzed in graphical format and will be visible to you. Sorry, I had already opened it up as a window, but somehow it is closed in between, and now it will not be possible for me to open that window. Really sorry. At some other moment that can be shared before I take your leave. Let me check just once if there is any other query. I hope there is no other query. Can I have a direct comment? Mostly direct comment.
You can post it here itself, because comment section is closed for the attendees. Sorry for that.
Or you can allow her to unmute.
Sir, attendees cannot be unmuted.
Acha, allow to unmute. Right, ji. Then okay, thank you very much. I tried my best to highlight in which direction or what type of paradigm shifts are expected as the role of a teacher, and what is the revised professional expectations in the light of which we have to develop our capacities. I tried my best as per my learning and understanding upon the queries posed over there. But whenever there is a query, the objective is not only to give answer, rather to get 5 more queries on the basis of that. Many of your questions gave many questions to me also. So thank you one and all, and thank you very much to KR Mangalam University, Professor Tania, Professor Pooja for helping me on this platform. Dr. Rajni Gautam, because as a teacher, we need to have certain, say, listeners before us, only then we are motivated. It is one of the biggest challenge of this online platform. So these were the faces which were visible before me, and I was of this impression that I'm being heard by someone. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Pooja.
Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful session, and it was a pleasure to hear you. We got to know how sustainable development, e-governance, digital initiative process that are being introduced in NEP 2020 all are indicating towards the changing role of teachers. For those changes to accommodate, we need to prepare our teachers. By this session, we got to know about the capacity building strategies for teachers. We got to know about different guidelines that are available to prepare them for their professional roles. The case study further made the concept clearer that with the changing needs, teachers as stakeholders of society, they have to change them, and they changed according to the survey that was conducted, the different surveys conducted by you. They have changed their pedagogical method. They have upgraded their skills according to the need of the situation. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. And now I would like to invite our very own Professor Dr. Tanya Gupta, Dean, School of Education, KR Mangalam University, to give vote of thanks to respected Dr. Khushvinder Kumar, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja. Good evening. On behalf of KR Mangalam University, School of Basic and Applied Sciences and School of Education, the IQAC of our university, and Council for Teacher Education Foundation, Delhi NCR chapter, Dr. Khushvinder Kumarji, I express my deep reverence and gratitude to you for conducting such a very deep discussion, taking us on the journey from what the policy anticipates from us. Today's theme was on the professional development of the teachers, their capacity building. In fact, I have very intently noted a lot of points from your presentation. I completely agree, sir, with what you highlighted, that learning can never be devoid of life, because perhaps today the most important life skill is learning how to learn. That is very important. And how through your presentation, you could have straight away just gone on what is professional development and capacity building and brought out the policy para by para. But that was not how you took it. I extremely admire the way you have taken the session on bringing out glaring problems. One, the COVID-19, which was a deadly time for everybody, where people were only sustaining for life. We all learned the true meaning of life during the pandemic. As you know, it is always said that when you learn to die, you learn to live. So that was a tough time. And you have also brought out and related the importance of sustainable development goals. So it's a global requirement that it is our commitment as global citizens to contribute to achievement of the 17 SDGs. You brought out this very well. You brought out about the national e-governance and the Digital India program, the kind of initiatives. You also rightly brought out the glaring iniquitous situations that have emerged post-COVID-19. Despite all progresses that we have made, we still have a system, a long way to go to make our system not only accessible to reach the very ambitious target of 50% gross enrollment ratio. It is also very important to create an accessible education system which is equitable, affordable, and inclusive. So you have dealt with that aspect as well, and that was something which was very meaningful, sir. You have also highlighted during your session today about the regulations that are in place, the NEP itself as a document. When C.B. Sharma ji was, you were there in the session and you heard it also, where he said there were questions coming in that, kya ye policy implement hogi? So इसी मंच से सर उन्होंने कहा कि ये पॉलिसी इंप्लीमेंट हो गई है. We have to do it. And taking from the example that you built on the case study, I was amazed. I must congratulate you for your vision and for your foresight. एक अच्छे लीडर की शायद यही पहचान होती है कि वो प्रोग्नोसिस कर लेते हैं कि आगे क्या आने वाला है. As you said that there was the government came with the notifications of lockdown, but you anticipated the change. You saw what it is going to be. You conducted the institutional preparedness. I think, as you mentioned, in the around 15th or 16th of March of 2020, and you then conducted a survey and you sustained it till January 2021. So I'm really impressed, and I think this is one example of resilience and preparedness. This is what leaders have to be. So sir, I really congratulate, and it's a model to replicate. And a learning from this is that we have to be prepared. We just can't keep saying that cheezein ho jayenge. We have to prepare, and we have to accept it, and we have to implement them. You mentioned about the pedagogies. I was simply connected to you the moment you said that log disciplines mein itne compartmentalization hai that people don't even understand that education itself is a discipline. The same question we also face, aap padhate kya ho? The same kind of question. So from this platform to all the disciplines, we teach the pedagogy of how to teach. Perhaps I take this platform that nobody in the country or in the global level can talk of pedagogy better than teacher educators. Nobody. Because that's so embedded. And you also mentioned about lifelong learning and uncertainty. The question that came, ki agar fir se ek pandemic ho jata hai. Well, the world is absolutely volatile. It's VUCA. It's unclear. It is ambiguous. It is complex. These complexities will come. And we also know there are learning gaps, sir. As you highlighted, there have been a lot of UNESCO reports. The probe has come up. The PISA has come up with so many reports. I think your school, your institution was a success story. And I must congratulate you for that. But there have been institutions where there were about 70 to 80% students who were put out of the school. And especially here, my heart goes out for the children who are Divyang. They were completely out of the learning system, sir. So my one take as an addition, if you may allow to your points, is that एक प्राथमिक जो हमारी जिम्मेवारी है सर, one of the foremost duties of a teacher to be professional is that she or he must be a model to replicate, a model who's an epitome. I think this kind of professional training, if it goes from us, the virtues if go from us, sir, this kind of continuous revival of our professional ethics is very important, besides the contemporary things that are coming. we have to, in the context of NEP, since it's talking of multidisciplinary, since it's talking of holistic, as you mentioned, we have to be prepared. You mentioned about all the UGC guidelines. So teachers cannot actually become, very true, as you said, professionally developed if they're not reading these guidelines and not following these guidelines. There was a question, autonomy of teachers. I totally support that question, because the NEP talks of motivated, energized, and capable faculty. You cannot have a professionally developed, competent faculty who's not energized and motivated to work. So that would be, I think, another, sir, input from my side. Finally, sir, the learning gaps that have occurred in our children, whether at schools or in colleges or at universities, there are skill gaps, there are physical gaps, there are emotional gaps. So many gaps have come in. So I think we at the institution need to, induct our teachers regularly on updating our skills to meet these demands of our children. Because ultimately, we are here in this profession for whatever you may say. So rightly you said, will you not aspire to be a dean or a head or something tomorrow? But whatever we may become, we are first teachers. So I share the equation, the intensity with which you brought out thought-provoking questions to the audience. I just want to take I want to convey that the participants could see you, they could hear you, but we had kept it one way because for certain digital, reasons. But they have, I'm sure they have intently heard you. They have liked your session, sir, and so much to learn. Grateful. Thank you so much. And we will keep looking forward to have you with us again and again and establish a very enduring relationship with you, sir. Thank you so much on behalf of all the participants and the entire organizing team. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you very much. It will be helpful for me if you share the feedback of my session. And as a practice, obviously, you are sharing the recording of the lessons also. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity and your crisp observations also. It really enriched my learning. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Same here, sir. I reciprocate. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the wonderful session. So we have already shared the feedback link here. You can fill the feedback from that link. And it has been observed that the number of participants and when it comes to the feedback that we are getting, they are not matching. So please fill your forms and be present here, because we will not be posting our feedback forms link in the social media, WhatsApp group, or any other group we are having.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja. Am I allowed to leave the meeting?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the feedback.
Thank you, sir. Good day. Thank you, sir.